Hi, everybody. It's Casey Wright, high school principal. Guys, first, thank you for everything you guys have been doing to make kind of remote work really well. You guys have done a great job with that. Hybrid, you guys have done a great job with that. I know that's a lot of hard work, and I thank you guys for all the work you've done with that. But students, starting on Tuesday, we go back to traditional school, 5 days a week. Everybody's here. And I want to spend some time talking about what that means, because I don't think that everybody has really kind of gotten a chance to dissect and understand when we all return to school, how do we do that as safe as possible and keeps you the best possible here, where you're not quarantining inside or outside of school. So we're going to spend some time, my team and I are going to spend some time kind of going through what does it mean, this new quarantine rule the governor put forth, and what does it mean to you. So we'll start with Mr. Buckler, and we'll get a chance to talk to you a little bit about the first part.
Hey guys. So the first thing we're going to go over, you guys have been doing a really good job this year maintaining all of these prevention policies. So the state said you had to have these policies in place to be able to modify the quarantine timeline. So mask wearing, we really have to focus on our mask wearing as we come in 5 days a week. You're going to be notified, if your mask is down here below your nose or below your chin. Somebody is going to tell you to please mask up and cover your nose and your mouth throughout the day. So please do that for us so we don't have to have those interactions. Second, social distancing. Plan on, as best you can, being 6 feet from people as much as you can. You guys have been very good throughout the year. We need to continue doing that as you're in your classrooms. Hand washing. There are hand washing sanitation zones throughout the building. So please utilize those along with washing your hands throughout the day. Symptom management system. We've asked you guys since the very beginning, please make sure that you stay home if you have any symptoms. Please continue to do so and communicate with us what's going on. And last, our custodial staff and teachers have done an amazing job cleaning the rooms, cleaning the desks to make sure everything is as sanitized as possible. So those are the policies that we put in place early on. The next, they have identified a modified quarantine. So you had to have the policies in place, which we just went over. Second is the exposure that you have can only happen within the classroom or on a school bus. So if you are exposed outside of the classroom or bus, it'd be a different policy. So to remain in school, these exposures have to occur within the classroom or on a bus. You have to make sure that your masks are on. We have to guarantee that you're not going to be walking around the building like this. So please make sure that your masks are covering your nose and your mouth. And then a minimum distance, which we will go ahead and measure every classroom to ensure that desks are a minimum of 3 feet apart throughout the classrooms. Mr. Fox.
Hi, everyone. So what this means is, and you have to understand, with the contact tracing and whether or not you quarantine, depends on how far apart you are from a classmate or another person that ends up testing positive for coronavirus. Please understand, if you do a great job of sitting in class, situating yourself where you're 6 feet or more from people, you'll have no restrictions. You're making yourself safe, and you're also preventing any quarantining. They added this intermediate distance right here, where if you're 4 feet from someone in class, for example, and they test positive for the virus, you'll do this new type of quarantining, which means you're still going to be turned in to Summit County, and we'll go through the process of being named as someone that has to quarantine, but you get to come to school and school only. That does prevent you from participating in school extracurricular activities. So just to understand that you do want to be outside of 6 feet, even though they lessened this threshold. If you sit with someone within 3 feet or in a lab or the lunch table somewhere where you are within 3 feet right next to someone, then that is the traditional full quarantine. You're not allowed to come to school either for 10 days. That's kind of that's the new definition that was a little bit confusing when it first rolled out a couple weeks ago. And then also, if you get exposed outside of school, please continue to do a great job of communicating with us and follow through, because if you're exposed to someone with coronavirus, you're not allowed to come to school, and you'll do the social quarantine of 14 days. So please understand that, communicate with our office staff, and do your part to stay home if you're exposed. Thanks. Ms. Archer.
All right. Hi, guys. So what exactly does that look like in our building? You can see with these pictures, we have our lovely students. We went around with our measuring tape, and those two orange dots are 3 feet apart. So the way we measure is middle of the desk to middle of the desk, or essentially forehead to forehead. And on a 5-day plan, most of our classes are going to be at least 3 feet. Again, 6 feet is ideal. Most of our minimum would be 3 feet. Most students are going to fall between 3 and 6 feet. So we want to make sure we are aware of where we are at all times. We have a few things set up, like overflow classroom spaces. We're going to start with the cafeteria. So if you're in a class that is a little bit crowded on a 5-day, which is not many, but there are some, are going to have higher numbers. Then you might be in a situation where your teacher allows you or a small group of students to go to an overflow space, and that means you're expected to log in, work on the assignment, and stay up to date, but you're just in a different location in the building. So your teachers will use those overflow spaces at their discretion. They'll provide you with the directions and everything you need to know about where to go and what to do during the class period. We also will have additional lunch spaces available. So the small gym is going to be turned into a secondary cafeteria. And then, of course, when the weather gets nicer, we'll open up the courtyards as soon as we can. But for right now, our lunch numbers actually look pretty good. But you're really going to be mindful of who you're sitting with at lunch. And just so that you guys know, because we want you to have as much information as possible. At the round lunch tables, the person sitting across from you is more than 6 feet. You're good. That person would, if that person became positive, you would not quarantine because of that person. However, if you are sitting next to someone, so if you're going to sit 4 to a table, the people on either side of you do fall within the 3 to 6 foot mark. And because you're unmasked at lunch, you would have to quarantine. Okay. So just keep that in mind. So what happens when you're at school and somebody in one of your classes is COVID positive and we have to do contact tracing? So here's what it looks like. As long as you are within that 3 to 6 foot mark and you are allowed to stay in school, you'll be called down, sent for a pass, or we'll come get you. You'll come to the office and you will be given a paper, like an actual hard copy letter that has your name, the date of last contact, and then what your return date would be, like resume normal activity date. Now, again, you will be able to stay in school, and so you'll go back to class with this letter, and then there'll be a section on the letter for your parent to acknowledge it. And then you'll bring that back the next day and just drop it off at the front office when you get here to school, so we know parents are aware and we know the situation. We're going to do our best to call every parent in addition to that, but at the very least, we're going to have that paper notification that we hand you with all the information on it, and then you would bring back with your parent's signature. Okay, so if you are on the modified quarantine, we're going to send you back to class because you get to stay in school. If you have to participate in a traditional quarantine for some reason, then at that point, we'd call your parent for a pickup. And anybody is in an extracurricular activity, Mr. Eckenrode would be the lead contact for what those requirements are, because they are a little bit different than the traditional, staying in school. So we, again, notify you first, notify your parents second, and third, we notify the Summit County Health Department, and then they follow up with your parents in regards to the outside of school quarantine and requirements that they have in place for you for that. Okay, Mr. Wright.
All right, guys, I know that's a lot of information, but here's the truth. We've gone through a lot of information all year, and we've been successful, and we're able to kind of keep things moving forward the whole year. And I have no doubt we'll do this too. The summary of this is this. If you are within 3 feet to 6 feet of somebody that comes down with COVID, you can still come to school. That's not the problem. The problem is if you are within that 3 feet to 6 feet, you cannot participate in extracurricular activities. So if you're an athlete, if you are in the drama and the plays, if you're in extracurricular activities, I worry about you guys because you got to keep it that 6 foot window as best as you can. I mainly think your teachers will do a good job in your classes as much as they can. Although we got some big classes out there that 3 foot rule is going to be really at play. You saw the pictures, and you can expect it to be 3 feet. However, what I really want you to be responsible for is the cafeteria. Listen, your masks are off. The 6 foot rule applies everywhere, which means if you're sitting across from somebody, you're probably fine. If you're sitting next to somebody, you are opening yourself up to be quarantined again from school. You need to know that. So that's what we try to explain to you. Thanks. As always, you guys have been awesome. If you need something, don't ever hesitate. Stop us in the hallway, stop us in the cafeteria, ask your questions, and we want to set you guys up for success. All right. We'll see you guys later.
Good work, team.